All right, I'm still on the same walk, but I have some thoughts I want to get out, and I want to get them out verbally. And we're going to talk about tragedy and trauma and addiction and recovery, and whether I would go back in time and change any of it. Just fixing my glasses. So I've told my story. I've told you about rehab. I've told you about many things from my life that led me there, that pushed it, the mental health, the diabetes, the seminary, all of it. So now there's a question that should be out there. And my dad's death, there's a big one. Would I change any of the things that happened to me? No. No. Fucking no. Absolutely not. Without question, no. If I look back at the things I've experienced in my life and some of the awful moments that I've had and the tragedies that I've experienced, all of my addiction journey, my losing my dad. My dad got into a car accident in January of 2013. I got that DUI in April. He was in a coma. He was in and out of physical and mental rehab for 2 years. He died in 2015. He died. I was there. A beautiful moment with my family. We were all there. And he sort of like breathed his last breath. I watched him pass away, and I wouldn't change it. It doesn't mean that I don't want my dad to be here right now, right? But I don't want to change the impact that his accident and subsequent 2 years in a wheelchair, in rehab, and the fallout and changes in my family, in my sister, in my mother, in me. I don't want to gamble with that. And so, maybe I'm just a little too positive, right? Or maybe I've had the opportunity to discover the meaning in these things. When tragedy happens, so often people will be at a funeral, and they will say, "Oh, I'm so sorry that this person passed away." Everything happens for a reason. And I absolutely despise that expression, because in the moment, what's the reason? Right? But there is meaning in everything. And sometimes the reason is something you don't discover for years. And right now, I'm discovering a bit of a calling around mental health, addiction, recovery, helping other people. And that is part of the meaning in the tragedy and trauma that I've gone through. And there's conversations that I'm having and topics I'm discussing that wouldn't be on the table if I hadn't experienced the things that I'd experienced. Some friends will know this. If you were at my dad's funeral, I got up and I gave a eulogy with my sister Kate. And in that eulogy, we discussed what Dad's impact had been after his accident. And I still remember, even then, knowing that something meaningful was coming out of something tragic. Because I can remember my dad in his wheelchair, and he was mentally handicapped, he was physically handicapped, but he still had enough in him to look at me and say, I love you, Michael. And he used to say it, and he had a hand, and his hand, it was slightly broken, his finger, and it was off, and he would like point, he couldn't quite point to like with his wrist, and he would say, I love you, Michael. And it's impacting me even now, later, because I realized that he wasn't thinking about saying that. He wasn't going through those series of thoughts like, hey, I'll make sure I'll tell my son that I love him because I should say that, or I do love him, but I better make sure I let him know. No, he was saying that with no filter. And that was what he knew to say. It was in him. It was part of him to say, I love you, Michael. And I keep picturing him lately in his wheelchair, fucking saying that. And I'm realizing that now, going through my sobriety journey and sticking to it and recovering from addiction and balancing my mental health, that I love me too. Right? And we don't choose our challenges always in life, right? And I'm not saying that if you're challenged right now by awful traumatic experiences, that it's just as easy as, hey, see the future meaning, like, no big deal, Tony Robbins, it all happens. No, that's not what I hope you're getting from what I'm expressing. But if there's one thing I've learned, and thanks for sticking with these rants, I wouldn't change anything about it. I wouldn't change my rehab experience. I wouldn't change the coke use. I wouldn't change it at all, right? Because if that doesn't happen, I am not where I am today. And for the first time in a very long time, I feel extremely integrated into what I want to do moving forward with my life in terms of passion. And so the power of I love you, Michael, I can't stop thinking about that. So I'm actually going to get a tattoo. I'm going to put it on this video. I'm getting a tattoo. It's going to be across my chest. It's going to say ILYM, I love you, Michael, because it's not my dad saying it anymore. I'm saying it, right? And that's the power of discovering who you really are with sobriety. That's the power for me, is now, even after rehab, I was excited about myself, but now I really love myself. So I wouldn't change the tragedies in my life, any of them, not a single one, because they've shaped me into the person I am today, who hopefully will be able to not go back, but in the present, help the version of me that's in the past. So if that's you, or if that's someone watching this video, or hopefully people I can work with in the future, I can actually now hopefully meet that person where they're at, because I can connect with them and they will feel listened to, and like what they say matters, because I've been through it. So does everything happen for a reason? Yes. But in the moment, it doesn't. Right? But there's meaning in everything. Sober Walsh.